July 4th, 2005. 4 days of searching. Ann Nichol's hands shake as she grips the steering wheel, driving through Richmond's familiar streets for the 100th time, eyes scanning every parking lot, every side road. Then she sees it, the white Rover 214i, her daughter's car, sitting alone in the Anchor Pub car park, like it's been waiting for her, empty, silent. The driver's door unlocked. Ann gets out, walks closer, peers through the window. Jenny's belongings scattered across the back seat, her cosmetics bag visible. But no Jenny, no note, no explanation. Just an abandoned car in a place her daughter had no reason to be. This is the moment a missing person case becomes something darker. July 7th, 3 more days pass. Ann and her husband Brian drive to Sandback Plantation, a dense woodland area off Longwood Bank. They're searching anywhere their daughter might have gone camping. She loved the outdoors. She loved these woods. Maybe she's hurt, maybe she needs help. They push through undergrowth, calling her name, looking behind trees, checking clearings. Then Ann sees something that doesn't belong. A flash of color, partially hidden under dead leaves. She bends down. Her hands uncover her daughter's cosmetics, the same ones that should have been in the car. And next to them, folded carefully, a nightdress. Jenny's nightdress. Hidden, concealed, left here by someone who didn't want them found. Ann Nichol is holding her daughter's belongings in a forest, and her daughter is nowhere. The realization hits like cold water. Something terrible has happened, and whoever did this is still out there. This is the story of Jenny Nichol, 19 years old, musician, daughter, friend, the girl who loved Jimi Hendrix and camping under the stars, the girl who disappeared into the Yorkshire countryside on June 30th, 2005, the girl whose body has never been found. And this is the story of the man who made sure it never would be. What you're about to hear includes evidence that wasn't presented in full at trial, the forensic linguistics analysis that broke the case open, the pattern of grooming that started when Jenny was just 14, the fake text messages designed to make a murder look like a runaway. We investigate cases like this every week that disappear from headlines too quickly, cases where justice hangs by a thread of circumstantial evidence and families never get closure. Hit subscribe right now, because when the next case like this unfolds and the media moves on after 48 hours, you'll be the first to know the full story. Don't let incomplete narratives control what you see. June 30th, 2005, Richmond, North Yorkshire. This is where our story really begins. Richmond sits in the northern reaches of Yorkshire, a market town of 9,000 people surrounded by some of England's most beautiful countryside, where locals know each other by name. In 2005, it's the kind of town where people still leave doors unlocked, where teenagers can walk home at night without parents losing sleep, where the worst crime is usually vandalism or public drunkenness on Saturday nights. The Nichol family lives on Bolton Avenue. Ann, a former cleaner, Brian, a retired Army major, and their daughter, Jenny, 19 years old that summer, still living at home while she figures out her future. It's an ordinary house on an ordinary street in an ordinary town, the kind of place where nothing terrible ever happens, until it does. Jenny Nichol is not your typical 19-year-old in 2005. While her friends are obsessed with pop music and reality TV, Jenny worships Jimi Hendrix. She plays guitar in a local rock band called No Fouling. They're not just messing around in someone's garage. They're good. Good enough to play the Richmond Live Music Festival. Good enough to reach the finals of Battle of the Bands in 2002. Good enough that people in town know their name. She works at the local co-op stacking shelves and running the register, saving money. She's known around Richmond's pubs, not because she's drinking heavily, but because that's where her band plays. Friday and Saturday nights, you can find No Fouling setting up equipment, sound checking, getting ready to blast Hendrix covers and original rock songs to crowds of locals who've come to know Jenny as the girl with the guitar and the blonde ponytail. She's 5'6", slim, with green eyes and fair hair that falls to her shoulders. She usually wears it pulled back in a ponytail, practical for someone who spends time outdoors. Because Jenny loves camping, not the glamping, comfortable camping of later years. Real camping, tent in the woods camping, sleeping under stars camping. The kind where you wake up cold and damp and don't care because you're surrounded by nature. Her friends describe her as quiet, not shy exactly, just someone who keeps things to herself. Jenny was not forthcoming with things, one friend will later tell police. She wouldn't talk to or confide in people. She plays her cards close to her chest. She doesn't share everything, she has secrets. On June 30th, 2005, one of those secrets is about to cost her everything. It's a Thursday, a regular Thursday. Jenny's at home on Bolton Avenue. She's gathering things, packing. It looks like she's preparing for a camping trip. Nothing unusual about that. She does this all the time. Takes off for a night or two. With friends, comes back with stories about campfires and guitars under the stars. She finds her mother, Anne. "I'm going out," Jenny says. "I won't be back tonight." Anne doesn't ask many questions. This is normal. This is what Jenny does. She's 19. She's an adult. She goes camping. She comes back. "Okay, love," Anne says. "See you tomorrow." Jenny walks out the door, gets into her white Rover 214i, drives away. Anne Nichol doesn't know she's just seen her daughter for the last time. Doesn't know that the next time she sees that white Rover, it will be empty and abandoned and the beginning of a nightmare that will consume the next 2 decades of her life. Friday, July 1st. Jenny was supposed to pick up a friend. They had plans for a night out. Jenny doesn't show. Her friend calls her mobile till no answer. Calls again. Nothing. It's not like Jenny to not show up. It's not like her to not call. The friend waits. Maybe Jenny overslept. Maybe her phone died. Maybe she's on her way, but Jenny never comes. Monday, July 4th. Jenny is supposed to be at work. Her shift at the co-op starts at 9. 9 o'clock comes and goes. No Jenny. Her manager calls. No answer. This is completely unlike her. Jenny is reliable. She doesn't miss shifts. She doesn't disappear. Anne is worried now, really worried. She's been calling Jenny's mobile for days. Every call goes straight to voicemail. She's asked around. No one has seen her. None of Jenny's friends know where she is. That's when Anne gets in her car and starts driving, checking everywhere she can think of. And that's when she finds the white Rover 214i in the Anchor Pub car park. Abandoned, unlocked, with Jenny's things still inside but no sign of Jenny. By the end of the day, Anne files a missing person report. 4 days after Jenny walked out the door, she's officially missing. The police spring into action. They issue a description. Jenny Nichol, 19 years old, 5'6", slim build, green eyes, fair hair to her shoulders, usually worn in a ponytail. Last seen wearing blue jeans, black trainers, a sleeveless crop top, and a khaki hooded Parker jacket that she wore constantly. Hundreds of posters go up around Richmond. Jenny's face stares out from shop windows, telephone poles, community boards. "Have you seen this girl? Any information, please call." But nobody has seen her. Nobody knows anything. July 7th. Anne and Brian make that trip to Sandback Plantation. They find the cosmetics and night dress hidden under leaves. Police are called immediately. The items are bagged as evidence. A search team is organized. If Jenny's belongings are here, maybe Jenny is here. They search and search and search. The woodland is dense, sprawling. There are paths that wind through trees, clearings where people camp, natural hiding places in the undergrowth. They find nothing. July 6th, the police make a statement. "We are becoming extremely worried for Jenny's welfare." July 7th, an incident room is established at Richmond Police Station. 20 officers are assigned to the case. This is no longer just a missing teenager. This is a major investigation. Detective Inspector Pete Martin takes charge. He's experienced, he's thorough, and he's increasingly convinced that something terrible has happened to Jenny Nichol. The police fan out across Richmond. They go pub to pub. Jenny was known in these places. Maybe someone saw something. Maybe someone knows something. They interview her bandmates, her coworkers, her friends. They're building a picture of Jenny's life, looking for anything that might explain where she went and why. What they discover is that Jenny's life had complications, secrets, things her parents didn't know about. But before we get there, before we understand what the police uncovered, we need to talk about what happened next. Because on July 10th, Detective Inspector Pete Martin makes a public appeal. "Jenny," he says, speaking directly to the camera, hoping she's somehow watching, "please call your parents. Please make contact. Let them know you're okay." Anne and Brian sit by their phone, waiting, hoping, praying for it to ring. It doesn't. What happens instead is something nobody expects, something that will change the entire direction of the investigation. The text messages arrive. July 10th, Jenny's phone, silent for 10 days, suddenly springs to life. A message appears on her friend Jennifer's phone. It's from Jenny's number. "Hi, Jen. Tell Jack I am okay. No, everyone's going to be mad. Tell them I'm sorry. Living in Scotland with my boyfriend. Shit myself. Dad's going to kill me. Mom don't give a shite. Hope Nick didn't grass me up. Keeping phone off. Tell Dad car jumps out of gear in stores. Put it back in auction. Tell him I'm sorry." Jennifer stares at the message. It's from Jenny's phone. It sounds like Jenny. The message mentions Jack, Nick, specific people in Jenny's life. It mentions the car problem, something personal. It has to be Jenny. She's alive. She's in Scotland. She's okay. Jennifer immediately contacts the police. They see the message. Relief washes over the investigation team. Maybe this isn't a murder. Maybe Jenny just ran away. Maybe she's alive and safe in Scotland. That same day, another message arrives. This one to Jenny's friend, Nicola. "Thought you were grassing me up. Might be in trouble with my dad. Told Mom I was lying. Didn't give a fuck. Been to Keswick camping. Was great. Have to go. See you." 2 messages, both from Jenny's phone, both sent from the Carlisle area not far from the Scottish border. The police trace the signal. The messages are legitimate. They were sent from Jenny's phone. The phone pinged off towers near Carlisle. There's hope now. Jenny's alive. She ran away. She's with a boyfriend in Scotland. This is a runaway case, not a murder. But then, July 14th, a third message arrives. This one goes to Jenny's father. Brian, why do you hate me? I know Mom does. Told her I was going. I ain't coming back and the pigs won't find me. I am happy living up here. Everyone hates me and Rich. Only mate I got is Jack. Text you a couple of weeks. Tell pigs I'm nearly 20. Ain't coming back. They can shite off. She got me in this shit. It's her fault, not mine. Get blamed for everything. I'm sorry. Okay. Just had to leave. She's a bitch. No food in and always searching me room, eating me sweets. I have to go. Okay. I am very sorry. Kiss. This message comes from the Scottish borders, further north than Carlisle. The phone is moving. Jenny is moving. She's deeper into Scotland now. Brian reads the message. Something feels wrong. The anger in it. The venom toward Anne. Jenny and her mother had their disagreements like any mother and daughter, but this level of hostility? Calling her mother a bitch? This doesn't sound right, but it's from Jenny's phone. It mentions personal details. The car problem. Jack, her friend, her room, her sweets, specific complaints about life at home. Only Jenny would know these things. Anne reads the message and makes a decision. If Jenny is in Scotland, Anne will find her. She gets in her car and drives north. Carlisle first. Keswick, where the message mentioned camping. The Scottish borders. She drives from town to town, showing Jenny's photo, asking everyone she meets, have you seen this girl? Have you seen my daughter? Nobody has. Anne returns home empty-handed. Right now, I need you to pause and comment the exact time you're watching this. I need to see how many people are discovering this case at 2 a.m., unable to sleep, or during your lunch break, or while you're supposed to be working. Drop the timestamp below. Then tell me your location. And if you've ever been to North Yorkshire, if you've ever driven through Richmond, if you know these woods we're about to discuss, I need you to comment, I know this place. The reason will become crystal clear in the next few minutes, and it's going to change how you think about small town safety forever. Jenny is somewhere out there, but where? After July 14th, Jenny's phone goes silent, completely silent. It's never activated again. It's never found. Those 3 messages are the last anyone hears from that phone. The police analyzed the messages. These messages included personal information which would only be known to someone who knew Jenny, Detective Inspector Martin says, such as mechanical problems with her car and details about her friends. But Martin isn't convinced. Something about the messages bothers him. The tone is off. The phrasing is weird. And most importantly, why would Jenny send these messages and then disappear completely? Why hasn't she withdrawn money? Why hasn't she used her bank card? Why hasn't she been spotted anywhere? They dig deeper into Jenny's life. They access her father's laptop, looking for emails, contacts, anything that might shed light on where she went. And that's when the investigation takes a turn nobody saw coming. They find thousands of images on Brian Nichol's computer, child sexual abuse images. Thousands of them. Brian is arrested, charged with making indecent photographs of children. The next summer, he pleads guilty to 16 specimen charges. He receives a community rehabilitation order. The police are clear this has nothing to do with Jenny's disappearance. But for the Nichol family, the nightmare just got worse. They're grieving a missing daughter, and now the world knows about Brian's crimes. The media has a field day. The family's suffering becomes public spectacle. But Detective Inspector Martin hasn't forgotten about those text messages. He keeps coming back to them. They mention personal details, yes, but what if someone close to Jenny sent them? Someone who knew about the car, knew about her friends, knew enough to make it convincing. The police start looking at Jenny's relationships more carefully, and they discover something Anne and Brian never knew. Jenny had a boyfriend, a secret boyfriend, someone she never told her parents about, someone she kept hidden. His name is David Hodgson. He's married. He's in his 40s. He has 2 daughters. He went to school with his daughters. And police discover that David Hodgson has been in Jenny's life since she was 14 years old. David Hodgson is a predator. That's the word police start using. He didn't just meet Jenny and fall for her. He groomed her, starting when she was a child, 14 years old, still in school. He befriended her, got close to her, built trust, isolated her, made her feel special, made her feel like what they had was unique and secret and theirs alone. By the time Jenny turned 16, the legal age of consent, David had already been manipulating her for 2 years. He later admits to police that he and Jenny slept together 5 times, but only after she turned 16. The police don't believe him. The pattern of grooming suggests it started much earlier. David is married with 2 children. He has a family, a normal life on the surface. But he's been conducting this secret relationship with a girl young enough to be his daughter, and he's been hiding it from everyone. The police bring him in for questioning. They ask about Jenny. David denies being in a relationship with her. Just friends, he says. Nothing inappropriate. The police press harder. David changes his story. Okay, yes, we slept together, but only a few times. Only after she was legal. Nothing wrong with that. The police aren't buying it. David and his brother Robert know the Sandback Plantation area well. They've spent years building wooden huts and hides in those woods. Secret places where they drink, play cards, camp, places nobody else knows about. David says he never took Jenny to those hides. The police search them anyway. They swab for DNA. They collect samples. They send everything to the lab. The results come back. Jenny's DNA is in 2 of the hides. Not just present, not just trace amounts. Biological evidence shows Jenny and David had sexual contact in those locations. He lied. He's been lying from the start. 9 days after Jenny was last seen, David is brought in for intensive questioning. The police lay out what they know. Your DNA and Jenny's DNA together in the hides. You admitted to a sexual relationship. She disappeared after going camping. You can't account for your movements that night. David sticks to his story. He wasn't with Jenny that night. He doesn't know where she is. He's worried about her too. He wants her to come home safely. The police don't believe him, but they don't have enough to charge him. Not yet. They release him on bail pending further investigation. And then the text messages are sent. The ones to Jennifer, Nicola, and Brian. All sent after David is questioned. All sent from areas in Scotland. All suggesting Jenny ran away voluntarily. Detective Inspector Martin makes a statement to the media. I believe those text messages were sent by somebody who was very close to Jenny, perhaps even a boyfriend, with the intention of creating a belief that Jenny is still alive, which I don't believe to be the case. He's talking about David Hodgson. He's telling the world, I think she's dead. I think someone killed her. I think someone is trying to cover it up. On November 3rd, 2005, 5 months after Jenny disappeared, the police make it official. This is no longer a missing person case. This is a murder investigation. That same day, David Hodgson gives an interview to the Northern Echo newspaper. He's been getting death threats, he says. People in Richmond think he killed Jenny. They're harassing him, making his life hell. But he's innocent, he insists. Jenny told him she was leaving. She wanted a fresh start. He even lent her money to help her get away. He's painting himself as the supportive boyfriend, the good guy who helped Jenny escape her unhappy home life, the victim of a witch hunt. The police see through it. They know what he's doing. He's building a narrative, creating reasonable doubt. If he can convince people Jenny ran away, that she was unhappy at home, that she wanted to disappear, then maybe he can escape prosecution. But the police are building their own case, piece by piece, evidence by evidence. David Hodgson counted on people staying silent. He counted on a missing teenage girl being just another statistic. He counted on investigators giving up, moving on to the next case. If you're not like David Hodgson, if you believe Jenny Nichol deserved better than being groomed and murdered and erased, hit subscribe right now. Only people who think like manipulators and predators won't. Show him that the world is watching, that we don't forget his victims' names. Subscribe. Because cases like this need witnesses. They need people who refuse to let killers control the narrative. October 6th, 2005, Jenny's 20th birthday, a day she should be celebrating with friends, going out, having drinks, making memories. Instead, Anne makes a public appeal. She reveals a large banner to hang outside the co-op where Jenny worked. Jenny's face, enlarged, looking out at everyone passing by. Missing. Please help. CCTV stills of Jenny taken just days before she disappeared are circulated to the media. There she is, alive, walking through Richmond, going about her day, with no idea what's about to happen. The community rallies. Searches continue. Volunteers comb the woods. Police officers work overtime. Everyone wants to find Jenny. Everyone wants to bring her home, but she's nowhere. The investigation widens. Police are looking at everyone in Jenny's life, her friends, her bandmates, people who knew her from the pub, people who went to school with her. They're building a timeline, mapping out every relationship, every connection, and they keep coming back to the Hodgson brothers. Because here's what the police discovered. Jenny wasn't just involved with David. She'd also grown close to his brother, Robert. In fact, not long before she disappeared, Jenny and Robert went camping together, just the two of them, into the same woodland areas where her belongings were found. The police bring Robert in. He's cooperative. He admits Jenny was a friend. He admits they went camping. He even takes police to the exact location. They search it thoroughly. Nothing. No evidence of foul play. No evidence Jenny died there. Robert says he tried to contact Jenny after that camping trip, called her several times, texted her, no response. He was worried, wanted to make sure she was okay, but he never heard from her again. The police look at Robert carefully. Is he a suspect? Is he involved? But the evidence doesn't point to him. His movements can be accounted for. His phone records check out. And most importantly, he's been forthcoming with information, while his brother David has been dodging and lying from the start. The focus shifts back to David, and the police start noticing something interesting about his timeline. The night Jenny disappeared, June 30th, 2005. Jenny leaves home saying she's going camping. That same night, David Hodgson also leaves home. He tells his wife he's going camping. He takes off for the night. He comes back the next morning. When police ask where he went, he's vague. Just camping. In the woods. Alone. Did anyone see you? No. Can anyone confirm your whereabouts? No. It was just me, camping alone. The police don't buy it. Here's a man who's been grooming Jenny since she was 14, who's been having a secret sexual relationship with her, who knows the woodland areas intimately, and on the exact night Jenny disappears, while supposedly going camping, he also goes camping, alone, and can't account for his whereabouts. Then there are the text messages sent from Carlisle on July 10th, sent from the Scottish borders on July 14th. The police pulled David's financial records. On those exact dates, he hired a car, a rental car, and the mileage on that car, when he returned, it shows he drove hundreds of miles, miles that roughly correspond to driving from Richmond to Carlisle and back, from Richmond to the Scottish borders and back. David can't explain the mileage. Just driving around, he says. No particular destination, just needed to clear his head. The police know what really happened. David took Jenny's phone, drove to Carlisle, sent the messages, drove back. A few days later, drove to the Scottish borders, sent more messages, drove back, all to create the illusion that Jenny was alive and moving through Scotland. But proving it is different than knowing it. They need more. They need something concrete, something that will convince a jury. That's when they bring in an expert, someone who specializes in a field most people have never heard of, forensic linguistics. Professor Malcolm Coulthard is one of the world's leading forensic linguists. He's worked on high-profile cases before. He's testified in court. He's helped convict killers by analyzing the way they write. The police give him everything. Transcripts of more than 100 text messages sent by David Hodgson, 11 messages sent by Jenny Nichol before she disappeared, and the 3 messages sent after she vanished, the ones claiming she was alive in Scotland. Professor Coulthard's job is to answer one question. Did Jenny send those messages? He starts with Jenny's messages. He's looking for patterns. Everyone has a linguistic fingerprint. The way they spell, the words they choose, the grammar they use. Even in text messages, even with abbreviations and shortcuts, people have distinct styles. Jenny uses the number 2 to replace the word to frequently. When she does, there's no space between the number and the next word. Going to town instead of going to town. She uses contractions in a specific way. I'm and I'm not are her go-to phrases. She spells certain words with shortcuts. My becomes my. See you becomes see you. Phone is spelled with an F. Phone. These are small details, tiny quirks, but they're consistent. Every message Jenny sends follows these patterns. Now, Professor Coulthard looks at the 3 messages sent after she disappeared. The first thing he notices when these messages use the number 2 to replace 2, there's a space after it. Going to town instead of going town. That's different from Jenny's style. The messages use I am instead of I'm. They use ain't instead of I'm not. Jenny rarely used ain't in her messages. My is spelled as me. See you becomes just see. Phone is spelled correctly, not with an F. Every single linguistic marker that defined Jenny's texting style is absent from these messages. Every single one. Professor Coulthard's conclusion. I was able to say that it was highly unlikely she sent those messages. Jenny Nichol did not send those messages. Someone else did. Someone pretending to be her. But who? Professor Coulthard's next job is to analyze David Hodgson's messages. The police had asked David to do handwriting exercises, write out certain phrases, show us how you text. David complied, thinking he was helping the investigation. He wasn't. He was giving them evidence. Professor Coulthard compares David's messages to the 3 sent after Jenny disappeared, and he finds matches. Off is spelled with 1 F in both David's messages and the post-disappearance texts. During the handwriting exercise, David actually had to ask an officer how to spell off. He thought it was 1 F. He was wrong, but that's how he wrote it. Might is spelled M-I-T-E in David's messages. The same spelling appears in the messages supposedly from Jenny. Ain't and didn't are written without apostrophes in David's texts. Same in the Scotland messages. The patterns match. Not perfectly, because David is trying to imitate Jenny. He's trying to sound like her, but he doesn't understand the subtle ways she texts. He's getting the big things right. Mentioning Jack, mentioning the car problem, using details only someone close to Jenny would know. But he's failing at the linguistic level. Professor Coulthard's final analysis. From a linguistic point of view, what I couldn't say was that he sent those messages. But what I could say was he shared a lot of the same features and was among a small number of possible senders. In other words, David Hodgson is almost certainly the person who sent those messages. He took Jenny's phone. He drove to Scotland. He texted her friends and family. He tried to make them think she was alive. He tried to buy himself time, because Jenny was already dead. The police theory crystallizes. June 30th, 2005. Jenny leaves home believing she's meeting David for a camping trip. Maybe they've planned it, maybe it's spontaneous. Either way, she trusts him. She's been with him for years. He's her boyfriend, her secret, her relationship that nobody else understands. They go into the woods. Sandbag plantation, the area David knows inside and out. His territory, his hides, his secret places. Something happens that night. An argument maybe. David is possessive, jealous. He's learned that Jenny has been spending time with his brother Robert, that they went camping together, that she might be falling for Robert instead of him. David can't handle it. He's been grooming Jenny since she was 14. 5 years of manipulation, 5 years of control, and now she's slipping away. Moving on, choosing his brother over him. There's a confrontation. It escalates, and David kills her. Maybe it's intentional, maybe it's rage, maybe it's an accident that he decides not to report. Either way, Jenny Nichol dies in those woods on June 30th, 2005. David panics. He has to hide the body. He has to cover this up. He knows these woods. He knows places where a body might never be found. Caves, dense undergrowth, old mining shafts. He disposes of Jenny's body somewhere in the vast Yorkshire countryside. But he makes mistakes. He leaves some of her belongings behind. The cosmetics, the night dress, small items that get overlooked in his panic. He drives her car to the pub car park, makes it look like she left it there, like she met someone, like she went somewhere else. Then he goes home, acts normal, tells his wife the camping trip was nice, goes about his life. But when police start asking questions, when they start looking at him, when they discover the relationship, David realizes he needs a plan. He needs people to think Jenny is alive, that she ran away, that she's fine. So he takes her phone, he gets in a rental car, he drives to Carlisle, he sends messages, he drives to the Scottish borders, he sends more messages. He's creating a trail, a false trail, and making it look like Jenny is moving north, getting farther away, starting a new life. Then he disposes of the phone, probably throws it in a river or buries it deep. It's never found. This is the police theory, and piece by piece, they're building the evidence to support it. March 27th, 2006. 9 months after Jenny disappeared, the police make a major breakthrough. A team searching Sandbag Plantation finds something, partially buried in the undergrowth, hidden but not completely concealed. Jenny's teddy bear, the one her father bought her for Christmas, the one that went missing from her home 2 months before she disappeared. And next to it, her portable stereo, the kind teenagers in 2005 carried everywhere. CD player, headphones, her music. These items weren't there during earlier searches, or maybe they were, and searchers missed them in the dense woodland. Either way, they're here now. Physical evidence that places Jenny in this exact location after she was last seen. The items are bagged, sent for forensic testing. Detective Inspector Martin makes a statement. Both finds are important because they may provide us with significant forensic opportunities. The search intensifies. More than 150 acres of woodland are combed. Soldiers are brought in to help. They search caves, mine shafts, moors, every conceivable place where a body might be hidden. They find nothing. 1 year passes. June 30th, 2006. A memorial service is held at a local church. 100 people attend. Friends, family, community members, people who never knew Jenny but are heartbroken by her story. Jenny's aunt reads a eulogy written by Anne and Brian. Quite simply, Jenny is unique. She is a young woman, our daughter, and we will carry her in our hearts and our minds forever. She is our queen, and we will catch up with her soon, all being well. They're using present tense. She is, not she was, because without a body, how can they accept she's dead? How can they grieve properly when there's no grave to visit, no physical confirmation, no closure? Anne speaks to reporters after the service. I cannot bear the thought of her being alone in the cold, wet ground in some makeshift grave. That image haunts her. Her daughter, thrown away like garbage, left to rot in the woods, alone, forgotten. It's unbearable, but Anne isn't giving up. The police aren't giving up, and they're building something. A case unlike any they've tried before in the region. A murder case without a body. January 17th, 2006. David Hodgson and his brother Robert are arrested on suspicion of murder. It's a bold move. The police don't have a body. They don't have a crime scene. They don't have a weapon. They don't even know exactly how Jenny died. What they have is circumstantial evidence, DNA in the hides, suspicious text messages, forensic linguistics, rental car records, mileage that matches trips to Scotland, a pattern of grooming and control, and a man who can't account for his movements the night Jenny disappeared. Robert is released quickly. The evidence doesn't support his involvement. He's been cooperative from the start. He tried to help find Jenny. He's not the killer. David is bailed pending further investigation. He goes home, waits, knows they're coming back for him. Look at what David Hodgson did. Look at how he groomed a 14-year-old child. Look at how he manipulated her for years. Look at how he killed her when she tried to break free. Look at how he tried to erase her. If you can't stand people like this, if you believe children should be protected from predators, if you believe Jenny deserved to live her life, comment, "I stand with Jenny Nichol right now." Let David Hodgson know that his victim is not forgotten. Only people like him, narcissists and predators who see victims as disposable, will scroll past this. Prove you're better. Comment below. March 2006. The police do something unusual. They bring in a team of retired senior officers to review the entire investigation. Fresh eyes, different perspectives. Maybe there's an angle they've missed. Maybe there's evidence they haven't fully explored. The review takes weeks. The retired officers go through everything. Every statement, every piece of evidence, every timeline, every theory. Their conclusion: the investigation has been thorough. The evidence points to David Hodgson. There's enough to charge him. May 2007, nearly 2 years after Jenny disappeared. The news everyone has been waiting for. David Hodgson is charged with Jenny Nichol's murder. Robert Turnbull, the chief Crown prosecutor of North Yorkshire, makes a statement. This is an unusual case in that Jenny's body has never been recovered. I am, however, satisfied after careful and detailed consideration that there is sufficient evidence to establish a realistic prospect of conviction against Mr. Hodgson, and on that basis he should be charged with this offense. See, it's rare to prosecute a murder without a body. Incredibly rare. Juries want to see physical evidence. They want proof. No body, no crime is a common defense strategy, and it's often effective. But sometimes the circumstantial evidence is so overwhelming that it doesn't matter. Sometimes the pattern is so clear that a jury can reach a verdict based on everything surrounding the crime rather than the crime itself. This is one of those cases. The trial begins. It will last 5 weeks. 5 weeks of testimony, 5 weeks of evidence, 5 weeks of Jenny's family sitting in court, listening to every detail of their daughter's secret life and brutal death. It's devastating. James Goss QC leads the prosecution. His opening statement lays out the case. It is the prosecution's case that David Hodgson murdered Jenny the night she disappeared and disposed of her body somewhere in the neighboring countryside with the intention that it should never be found. He walks the jury through the evidence, the grooming that started when Jenny was 14, the secret sexual relationship, the DNA evidence in the hides, proving they met there, the fact that both Jenny and David left home on camping trips the same night and only David came back. He presents the forensic linguistics analysis, shows how the text messages couldn't have been sent by Jenny, shows how they match David's linguistic patterns. He presents the rental car records, the mileage, the timeline that matches the text messages. He presents the evidence of David's jealousy, how he couldn't handle Jenny getting close to his brother Robert, how possessive he was, how controlling. Piece by piece, he builds the case, and the jury listens. The defense fights back. They have to. They argue that without a body, there's no proof Jenny is even dead. Maybe she did run away. Maybe she is living in Scotland somewhere. Maybe she cut off all contact deliberately. They question Anne and Brian on the stand about their family life, about their relationship with Jenny, about whether Jenny was happy at home. And then they make a claim that destroys Anne and Brian in the witness box. They suggest Jenny ran away to escape her abusive father. Brian sits in the dock, tears streaming down his face. His past is public knowledge now. The child abuse images on his computer, his conviction, his shame. And now the defense is using it to paint him as a monster who drove his daughter away. The judge will later say this allegation was made without the slightest shred of supporting evidence, but the damage is done. Anne and Brian are reduced to tears. They later describe the experience as a character assassination. The trial grinds on. Witnesses testify. Experts explain the evidence. The jury takes notes. David Hodgson sits impassively, showing no emotion. Then it's time for deliberation. The jury retires. 10 hours they deliberate. 10 hours of weighing the evidence, debating, discussing, reaching consensus. February 2008. They return with a verdict. Guilty. Unanimously guilty. David Hodgson is convicted of murdering Jenny Nichol. The judge, Mr. Justice Openshaw, addresses the court. It is obvious that you and Jenny agreed to meet that evening. The evidence that you murdered her is entirely overwhelming. Your concealment of her body has prolonged the anguish of her family and friends. I don't doubt that the thought she is lying somewhere upon the moors will continue to inflict further pain on her long-suffering family. You have shown not the slightest regret or remorse. He sentences David Hodgson to life in prison, minimum term, 18 years. David shows no emotion, no tears, no reaction, nothing. He's led out of the courtroom, taken to prison, and he never looks back. Anne and Brian hug in the courtroom. Finally, justice. After 2.5 years of hell, the man who killed their daughter is going to prison. But there's no real victory here. Jenny is still gone. Her body is still missing. They still can't bury her. They still don't know exactly what happened that night or where she is. David Hodgson knows. Only he knows, and he's not telling. After the trial, Anne and Brian speak out about their experience, not just for themselves, but for other families who will face similar ordeals. In 2011, Millie Dowler's family goes through a horrific trial. Millie was murdered by serial killer Levi Belfield, and during his trial, the defense subjects the Dowler family to brutal cross-examination. They suggest Millie ran away. They question the family's lifestyle. They imply Mr. Dowler had inappropriate interest in his daughter. It's devastating, traumatic. The Dowlers call for changes to the justice system to protect victims' families from being re-traumatized in court. The Nichols support them publicly. For us, the trial has been a truly awful experience, they say. We have felt that our family, who have already suffered so much, has been on trial as much as Mr. Belfield. They describe watching their family questioned one by one, every witness undergoing a character assassination, some of them reduced to tears afterwards. All the while, the defendant sits there and continues to build on the fabrication. They call for more support for families giving evidence, for more protection from defense tactics designed to traumatize and confuse, for reform. Some reforms eventually come, but not enough. Never enough. David Hodgson settles into prison life, 18 years minimum. That means he could be released in 2026, could walk free, could go back to his life, unless Helen's law stops him. Helen McCourt was 22 when she disappeared in 1988. Her killer, Ian Sims, was convicted of her murder despite her body never being found. He served 29 years in prison, and when he came up for parole, he refused to say where Helen's body was. Helen's mother, Marie McCourt, spent decades campaigning for a law that would keep killers in prison until they revealed where their victims were. She wanted Helen's body. She wanted to bury her daughter, and she wanted to ensure no killer could use their victims' remains as a bargaining chip. In January 2021, Helen's law was enacted, the Prisoner's Disclosure of Information About Victims Act. It states that when considering parole, boards must take into account whether a prisoner has refused to disclose information about their victim's location. In other words, if you won't say where the body is, you're not getting out. David Hodgson comes up for parole. His 18-year minimum term approaches. He applies for release. The parole board reviews his case. They note that he has never revealed where Jenny's body is, never shown remorse, never admitted guilt, never given Jenny's family the closure they desperately need. The board cites Helen's law. David's refusal to disclose this information demonstrates he remains a danger to the public. His continual denial shows he hasn't taken responsibility. He hasn't changed. He's still the same man who killed Jenny Nichol. Parole denied. Anne Nichol makes a statement after the decision. If he ever thought that continuing to deny it would somehow lead him to walking out of jail after his 18-year sentence to continue his sham of innocence, he must now think again. His continual denial indicates that he is still a danger to the public, and any parole board hearing in future must now take that into account. She's relieved, vindicated. Helen's law is working exactly as it should, but she still doesn't have her daughter's body, still doesn't know where Jenny is, still lives with that unbearable uncertainty every single day. David Hodgson has launched several appeals against his conviction. All have failed. The evidence was overwhelming. The verdict was sound. He's not getting out on appeal. His latest parole hearing was also unsuccessful. Again, Helen's law was cited as the primary reason. Again, his refusal to disclose Jenny's location worked against him. As of 2024, David Hodgson remains in prison. He's now in his 60s. He served over 15 years, and he's not telling anyone where Jenny Nichol is. This same broken system that allowed a predator to groom a child for years, that failed to protect Jenny from her killer, is still failing families today. It's counting on you to watch this, feel sad, and forget by tomorrow. Hit that like button and subscribe if you refuse to let that happen. If you believe groomers and killers need to be exposed and remembered, if you believe victims like Jenny deserve justice, take 2 seconds and engage. Silence protects predators. Silence enabled David Hodgson. Don't be silent. Like and subscribe right now. The impact of Jenny's case extends beyond her family. Retired North Yorkshire Police Assistant Chief Constable Sue Cross worked on the investigation. Years later, she still thinks about Jenny often. Silly things might happen like a song coming on the radio that will take you right back to the case, she says. You wonder where she is, and if you missed any opportunity to find her. It would be wonderful if we could find her and give her back to Anne and Brian. That's the haunting reality for investigators in cases like this. Did we miss something? Is she somewhere we didn't search thoroughly enough? Could we have found her if we'd looked harder, dug deeper, tried one more time? The woodland around Richmond has been searched dozens of times. Professional search teams, volunteers, police, soldiers, they've covered the same ground repeatedly. used dogs, used ground-penetrating radar in some areas, used every tool available, and Jenny remains lost. There are theories. Police believe she's buried somewhere in Sandback Plantation or the surrounding moorland. The area is vast, hundreds of acres, densely wooded in parts, open moorland in others, old mine shafts, caves, rivers, endless places where someone could hide a body and never have it found. David knows exactly where she is. He put her there. He chose that spot carefully, somewhere remote, somewhere he knew she'd never be discovered, somewhere that gives him power even now, locked in a prison cell because he's the only one who knows the truth. That power is all he has left. The power to deny Anne and Brian closure. The power to keep Jenny hidden. The power to maintain his innocence by pointing to the absence of a body. But Helen's law has taken some of that power away. Now his silence keeps him in prison. Now his refusal to speak works against him instead of for him. It's a small victory, but a victory nonetheless. Anne gave an interview years after David's conviction. She talked about the agony of not knowing where Jenny is. The hardest thing about not knowing what my daughter's killer did with her body is the thought that the child I gave life to, brought into the world and loved, has been thrown away like she didn't matter. Jenny did and does matter. That's the cruelest part of cases like this. Not just the murder itself, but the erasure that follows, the disposal of the body, the refusal to let the family grieve properly, the denial of basic human dignity. Jenny Nichol was 19 years old. She had dreams. She wanted to keep playing music with her band, maybe tour someday, maybe make it big. She wanted to travel. She talked about visiting every state in America, collecting snow globes from each one. She wanted to fall in love properly, not with a married predator twice her age who'd been manipulating her since she was a child. She wanted to live. David Hodgson took that from her, took everything, her life, her future, her dreams, even her final resting place. There are lessons in Jenny's case, warning signs we should all recognize. A man in his 40s befriending a 14-year-old girl is not normal. It's grooming. It's predatory behavior. It doesn't matter if he's friendly, if he's trusted in the community, if he has a family of his own. The age gap alone is a red flag. Secret relationships are another warning sign. If someone is hiding a relationship, keeping it from parents and friends, there's usually a reason. Often, that reason is because the relationship is inappropriate and wouldn't be accepted if it were public. Possessiveness and jealousy are dangerous. David couldn't handle Jenny getting close to his brother. He couldn't handle the thought of her moving on. That kind of controlling behavior escalates. It traps victims, and sometimes it turns violent. But recognizing these signs only matters if someone knows what's happening. Jenny kept her relationship with David secret. Her parents had no idea. Her friends knew bits and pieces, but not the full picture. She was isolated. Exactly what groomers want. Exactly what gives them power. If Jenny's story prevents one other teenage girl from falling into a similar trap, if it makes one parent more vigilant about who their children are spending time with, if it makes one friend speak up about concerns instead of staying silent, then maybe her death won't be completely meaningless. Maybe. But Anne and Brian would trade all the awareness in the world for just knowing where their daughter is. 24 years. That's how long Jenny has been missing. That's how long Anne and Brian have lived with the uncertainty. They're in their 70s now. Every year that passes is another year they might not live to see Jenny found. Another year they might die without ever laying their daughter to rest properly. That's David Hodgson's final cruelty. He knows time is on his side. Eventually Anne and Brian will die. And then who will be left to advocate for finding Jenny? Who will remember? Who will care? We will. We have to. Because Jenny Nichol matters. Because every victim matters. Because we can't let killers win by erasing their victims from memory. Jenny loved Jimi Hendrix. Purple Haze was her favorite song. She played it constantly, learned every note on guitar, could play it perfectly. She loved camping, real camping. No phones, no distractions, just nature and friends and music around a campfire. She loved her teddy bear, the one her dad bought her for Christmas, the one police found in the woods, the one that was with her in some way when she died. She worked at the co-op, stacked shelves, made small talk with customers, saved her money, dreamed about her future. She played in a band. No fouling. They weren't famous. They never made it big. But they had fun. They played festivals. They made music together. They had something. She had green eyes, fair hair in a ponytail, a slim build, a shy smile, a quiet laugh. She was someone's daughter, someone's friend, someone's bandmate. She was Jenny Nichol, 19 years old, born October 6th, 1985. Last seen June 30th, 2005. Gone, but never forgotten. The investigation remains technically open. North Yorkshire police still accept tips. They still follow up on leads. If anyone comes forward with information about where Jenny's body might be, they'll search. They'll dig. they'll do whatever it takes. But after 24 years, the likelihood of someone coming forward with new information is slim. The people who knew David well have already been interviewed. The locations that seemed promising have been searched. The evidence that exists has been analyzed. Unless David talks, Jenny probably stays lost. And David isn't talking. So Anne and Brian wait. They mark every anniversary, every birthday, every holiday. They keep Jenny's room the same. They talk about her in present tense sometimes, even though they know she's gone. They can't help it. Without a body, without that finality, she feels suspended in time, neither fully gone nor truly at peace. Other families who've lost children to violence understand. The parents of murder victims form their own tragic community. They support each other. They advocate for each other. They push for laws like Helen's Law that might prevent future families from experiencing the same agony. But no amount of advocacy brings their children back. No amount of justice makes the pain stop. They learn to live with it. They have no choice. But they never stop grieving, never stop wondering, never stop hoping that somehow, someday, they'll get the closure they need. Richmond, North Yorkshire, hasn't forgotten Jenny. Her posters are gone now. Life has moved on. The pubs where she played are still there. The co-op where she worked is still open. People who knew her have gotten older, moved away, started families of their own. But sometimes someone will mention her name. Remember that girl who disappeared? The one whose body was never found? Yeah, Jenny Nichol. Terrible thing. Just terrible. And for a moment, Jenny is present again. Remembered, not forgotten. That's all Anne and Brian can hope for now. That Jenny is remembered. That her story is told. That people know what happened to her even if they don't know exactly where she is. Because Jenny Nichol's life mattered. Her death matters. And the injustice of her disappearance matters. David Hodgson stole everything from her. He stole her life at 19. He stole her future. He stole her family's peace. And he stole their ability to say goodbye properly. But he couldn't steal her memory. Couldn't erase her completely. Couldn't make the world forget she existed. Jenny Nichol existed. She lived. She laughed. She played guitar. She loved Jimi Hendrix. She went camping under the stars. She was real. She was here. And we remember. David Hodgson wanted to be forgotten. He wanted his crimes erased from memory. He wanted Jenny Nichol to become just another statistic. If you believe Jenny mattered, if you believe we must remember so this never happens again, smash that like button and subscribe. People like David Hodgson depend on our silence, our short attention spans, our apathy. Prove him wrong. Like if you believe every life matters, if you believe we must protect the vulnerable, if you believe predators need to be exposed and stopped, only those who side with monsters will refuse. The case of Jenny Nichol is a story without an ending. Her body remains missing. Her killer remains in prison, but refuses to give her family closure. The question, where is Jenny Nichol, has no answer. Not yet, maybe not ever. But her story is told, her name is spoken, and as long as people remember her, as long as her case is discussed and analyzed and used as a warning about the dangers of grooming and predatory behavior, Jenny Nichol is not forgotten. She's not at peace. Her family isn't at peace. Justice was served in the courtroom, but not in the woods, where Jenny's body lies hidden. Maybe someday someone will come forward. Maybe someday David will have a change of heart. Maybe someday new technology will allow police to search areas they couldn't search before. Maybe someday Jenny Nichol will be found. Until then, we remember. We tell her story, we honor her memory, and we stand with Anne and Brian Nichol, who have spent over 2 decades searching for their daughter and will never stop hoping she'll come home. Jenny Nichol, 19 years old, musician, daughter, friend, victim of a predator who couldn't let her go, gone from Richmond, North Yorkshire, on June 30th, 2005, never forgotten. If you know anything about Jenny Nichol's disappearance, if you have any information about where her remains might be located, contact North Yorkshire Police. No tip is too small. No piece of information is insignificant. Anne and Brian Nichol deserve to lay their daughter to rest, and Jenny Nichol deserves to be found.